Welcome for the class of Human Relations and Legal Framework. Today is our lecture 7. The topic of our discussion is necessity, importance, history or evolution of labor laws. The primary objective of our today's session is to understand the necessity, importance, and history or evolution of labor laws. The contents of our today's session are necessity of labor laws, importance of labor laws, history or evolution of labor laws. Necessity of labor laws. Now, after the discussion of this human relation and legal framework, since last few sessions we were seeing how these labor laws will be helpful in enhancing the good industrial relation between the employer and the employees, and this will be helpful to minimize the chances of industrial dispute, which are arises on the industrial premises. So this will be helpful to both the management as well as the labor or trade union for their mutual benefits. They can work together and set the good standard to enhance the overall situation within that industrial premises. Prospects the workers from exploitation by the employers or management. This will not only helpful to enhance the good relationship between the labor as well as management. This will prospects the worker growth and its development. Helps the worker in getting the fair wages. So we were seeing how these wages are being distributed to the workers depending on their performance, depending on their other criterias. So distribution of fair wages, minimum wages, basic wages or living wages, that should be need to be calculated appropriately according to the situation or conditions within that particular industrial premises. It minimizes the labor unrest. So any sort of problem with respect to labor, that can be minimizes. It reduces the conflict and strike. So there will be a possibility of conflict. That possibility of conflict can be arises due to dissatisfaction among the employees, and that may result it into the rising demand, with respect to whatever the labor wants. So this may be result it into some industrial unrest problem like strike or lockout. So that form of industrial unrest can be minimized and ensures job security for the workers. These labor laws are helpful in providing the regular job work related to whatever industrial premises are being there. So this provides the job security to them, and by means of which we can work the development of the workers as well as welfare for the workers. Promotes the welcome environment condition in industrial system. In enhancing the good industrial system, it is quite necessary to provide the framework to promote the good environmental conditions among the labor as well as management, and this will be helpful to both of them. Fixing the rest hours or hours of work. So it is quite necessary to provide some sort of rest hours to them, and it is necessary to fix the working hours in the industrial premises. These labor laws will promote the various aspects for the development of labor. It provides the compensation to the workers who are the victims of accidents or hazard. So it is quite necessary to provide the necessary form of compensation who has lost uh, his forelimb, eye or leg, maybe due to either accidents or hazards. So it is quite necessary to provide them some sort of compensation. Removes the economic insecurity and defines the legal rights and obligation of employees and employers. Some sort of economic disparities that can be reduced. Simultaneously, these labor laws will govern some legal rights and obligations of the employer that they need to fulfill and try to protect the legitimate rights of the workers. So in this regard, the labor laws has to protect the labor as well as it will provide the overall good framework for the development of mutual relationship between employee and the employer. Importance of labor laws. These labor laws are helpful in formulating the labor policies. Now these labor policies are being primarily defined within the country for its development. So it should be consistent with the needs of the society and as well as the economy of that particular country by means of considering the views and opinions of the labor and other parties concerned. These labor policies are being helpful in defining the new standards. Establishment of uniform standard of labor for smooth adaptation of the steps and effective observance and enforcement. For effective implementation of plans and policies of the government tries to implement these laws very effectively by means of adapting the steps. So whatever bodies are involved in the implementation of these laws, okay, that bodies need to uh, set some standard and try to protect the legitimate rights of the laborers. Improvement of working and living conditions of workers. So whenever we are talking about the living conditions or working conditions of workers, so necessary form of safeguard need to be arranged at the workplace, okay, and protecting the interest of workers for those who need some special protections, particularly the deprived sections of the society or weaker section of the society. We need to define these laws very well, and here these labor laws try to protect these particular class of workers, those who are belonging to some deprived sections of the society or unorganized sector of the society. Maintenance of industrial peace and harmony. Whenever we are talking about promotion of industrial peace and harmony, the individual labor as well as the management of the organization, in this regard they will work well for the development of the society at large. So overall well-being of the masses can be one of the prime importance while maintaining the industrial peace and harmony in that industrial premises. Regular and smooth compliance. Regular and smooth compliance is very necessary among the labor as well as management or whatever parties are concerned. So for its effective compliance of these labor laws, one should have to develop the effective machinery and try to use this machinery to resolve the problem of either labor or management, or that may result it into some sort of problem due to industrial unrest. Cooperative movement. Promotion of cooperation is one of the key uh, ingredients for the development of the good industry relation between the labor as well as the management. So whatever parties are concerned with respect to the good industry relation, encouragement to the consultation with the participation of employers and the workers. So either workers participation in management decision making, okay, its cooperation has been very necessary among them. So cooperative movement can govern the various good results for the development of the organization. Penalty against indiscipline, particularly those who are not complying with these labor laws. So penalizing those who are not complying the provision of these labor laws, rules and regulations. So this will help to development of the discipline within the organization, and for the maintenance of this discipline, penalty is very necessary. Okay, and government has made a lot of provisions with respect to penalizing the either labor or the management or the trade union, particularly when the the rights of the workers, okay, are not being protected. Compliance for government plans and policies. Government time to time they are developing various rules and regulations and other policies. So it is quite necessary to provide some effective compliance in between whatever plans and policies. Implementation of plans and policies can be helpful in development of uh, new labor laws, okay, and regulations, and that will be helpful for the government as well as the management of an organization to regulate the good industry relation between them. Promotes the efficient labor administration. Okay, the labor administration, wherever the management, the trade union as well as the labor, those who are contributing their efforts for the development of the organization, they are not just the cog in the machine, okay, they are one of the factor of production also, okay. So it is quite necessary to provide the to protect the legitimate rights of the workers, and as far as changing socio-economic conditions within the country, okay, it is quite necessary to develop some standard by means of using efficient labor administration, particularly when to resolve any particular issues with respect to industrial disputes, strikes or lockouts. Improves the service conditions of the employees. So it is quite necessary to improve the overall working conditions of the employees or labor, and in this regard the employee standing order act or some other acts which are being formulated for to improve the overall service conditions of the employees. Promotes the national development by means of using these labor laws, okay, one can very effectively participate in the growth and development of the country, and simultaneously, okay, this will helpful for the development of participation through social dialogue. This social dialogue can be made, okay, in between labor, management as well as the trade union. We call them as tripartism. By means of using the tripartisan, okay, one can enhance the transparency, okay, in an organization with openness in decision making. So this will be helpful very effectively for the development of the organization. Simultaneously, labor policies, some uniform rules and regulations and other standards can be made possible by means of using framing some new labor policies for the development of labor, specifically uh, labor those who are belonging to some weaker sections of the society or unorganized sector. removing disparities. So overall disparities can be get removed by means of using effective labor administration and contributing for the development of the nation. It contains some elements of participation, credibility, transparency and responsibility. So without any discrimination, okay, these labor laws are being framed in such a way, okay, the legitimate rights of the parties whichever who are concerned that can be get protected, encouraging the social justice. By means of these labor laws, okay, one can enhance or encourage the social justice among the labor as well as the trade union or management, okay. And how does that will be act as a social partner of the social development, so contributing their efforts for the development of the nation as well as the society of large, okay, that can be get ensured by means of using social justice. Promote the socio-economic environment by means of using these labor laws, okay, as well as the changing socio-economic conditions, okay, due to international organizations like ILO, okay, or whatever standards that they will set. Elaboration of governmental as well as economic and social policies for smooth working of the labor laws that can be get ensured to promote the socio-economic environment. Maintaining the good industrial relation. By means of using these labor laws, one can resolve the various issues with respect to labor within that industrial premises by means of preventing and settling the industrial dispute. So government has set some standard, say for example, some uh, adjudication process. So by means of that, one can provide some effective judgment to uh, protect the legitimate rights of the workers. History and evolution of labor laws in India. India has a very long history in the labor movement, particularly during its pre-independence era. So during this pre-independence era, we came to know, okay, how does these labor laws are evolved in India. As we came to know, okay, India has adopted the British system. So in case of that British system, the labor administration can be made happen with the help of whatever labor laws that Britishers were set. So it may cover some labor and industrial laws which were enacted by British administration to protect the interest of British employers and industrialists. So particularly these British employers and industrialists are being governed with certain rules and regulations during British time in our country. So implementation of laws was started initially by means of framing certain rules and regulations within our country. The labor legislation in India has started with Apprenticeship Act 1850 in our country. It was a first law which was define some legitimate rights of the apprentices, okay, that will enable the children brought up in orphanages to find the employment when they come of age. So it was the first law, okay, that is called as Apprenticeship Act 1850, okay, which was designed particularly protect the, okay, some class of workers and to find the employment, okay, within some particular industrial premises during Britishers time. During this pre-independence era, okay, the British Parliament, they were introduced the various rules and regulations within India. So they were set some rules and regulations, and the first act they were passed, that is called as Factories Act 1983, to increase the cost of Indian labor in Indian textile industries, thereby favoring the British textiles. So during that particular period of time, to protect the labor those who are belonging to Indian textile industry, okay, in comparison with the British textile industries, the first law which was enacted to protect the legitimate rights of workers, and that is called as Factories Act 1983, that specified the provision with a stipulated 8 hours of work, introduction of overtime wages, abolition of child labor, and restrictions of women working at night. It was the first law, okay, which will specify the conditions of work and other employment terms and conditions. So, Factories Act 1883, okay, which was developed by British Parliament in India, that will govern some important provision with respect to hours of work, introduction of overtime wages, abolition of child labor, as well as restriction of women working at night. Similarly, the British Parliament, okay, or government in India, they were passed nearly several labor laws. So nearly 160 labor laws the British government were passed in India to protect the legitimate rights of the workers, as well as to regulate the conditions of work of industrial establishment, industry relation, payment of wages, registration of trade union, the certification of standing order, etc., with a view to provide the social security measures for workers and define the legal rights and obligations of the employees and employers, and also provide some guidelines to for the development of their mutual relationship in between them. So we came to know during our pre-independence era how does the British government they were evolved several laws to protect the legitimate rights of the workers. Now, post World War. Now it was also the pre-independence era. In this era, we call it is a post-World War One era. There are also some sort of development in the development of that labor laws. The some particular form of laws which was developed, that is called as by means of using lots of labor reforms. So these labor reforms was happened during the war period, the First World War period, by means of using the introduction of Trade Union Act 1923 and Industrial Dispute Act 1929. So we came to know that this was the actual laws, okay, which were formulated, okay, by means of protecting the legitimate rights of the workers as well as the employers. There are lots of provisions in this act, okay, to regulate the workers' right from form a trade union for collective bargaining and protest via strikes or lockout. So different provisions was made under this act, Trade Union Act 1923 and Industrial Dispute Act 1929. In 1929, the British government has established a Royal Commission on Labour, and this Royal Commission was Labour has suggested several measures for the development of new rules and regulations within the country, particularly by means of seeing some economic depression, associate rise in unemployment, continued agitation of independence, resistance of large-scale boycott from Indian labor movement. So during that particular period of time, okay, the Indians are being very eager for the independence, and there is a large scale boycott, okay, by means of Indian labor movement. They are arranging some morchas, they are arranging some gheravs of the management and asking to protect the legitimate rights of the workers. So during this era, okay, the first state act was passed and that is called as Bombay Trade Dispute and Conciliation Act 1934. So it was the first state act, okay, which was formulated to protect the legitimate rights of workers during this war period, which was followed by Bombay Industrial Dispute Act 1938. So these are the state laws which were passed in India. Simultaneously, this Royal Commission has passed the several other laws which are governed with Payment of Wages Act 1936. Okay, so that will empower the employers to deduct the wages of employees absent from work without reasonable cause. Trade Dispute Amendment Act 1938, which was authorized the government to appoint the conciliation officer to settle the dispute, which was replaced by the Bombay Industry Relation Act 1946. So these two laws, okay, the Payment of Wages Act and as well as Trade Dispute Amendment Act, these two important acts were passed by the Royal Commission on Labour, and they were made a provision by means of using to resolve the issue by means of appointing the conciliation officer to settle the dispute related matters, and which was replaced by Bombay Industry Relation Act 1946. Similarly, after the independence, the central government was also introduced the Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946. The government replaced the Trade Dispute Act 1938 and Industrial Dispute Act 1947, which was the main instrument for the government of intervention in industrial dispute. Just before the independence, okay, the government of India has passed out one important act, and that is called as Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946, and the government has replaced the two earlier acts, okay, that is called as Industrial Dispute Act 1938 and Industrial Dispute Act 1947, okay, which was one of the main instrument or main laws for the development of the labor management relations so as to resolve any form of industrial dispute. Post independence era. Now during this post independence era, means after the independence, the government of India has enacted the several rules and regulations, particularly concerning the social security and regulation of labor employment, okay, that can be enacted. So other laws, okay, which are being very important, which has made a lot of contribution in the development of our economy and protecting the legitimate rights of workers. So Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provision Act 1952, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, Equal Remuneration Act 1976. These important rules and regulations was passed, okay, after the independence in several years. So primarily there are three types of laws, okay, legislations related to the industry relations, legislation pertaining to some social security, and legislation pertaining to the women and children, okay. These three types of important laws the government were passed after the independence. So we were already seeing all these laws whenever we discuss that classification of labor laws. So that is all about the post independence era. The government has taken the several measures by enacting the different rules and regulations to promote the legitimate rights of the workers. Now it is the summary of unit 1, whatever that we were seeing since the beginning. We had total 7 presentations: introduction of human relation and legal framework. Here we just try to give some brief idea with respect to subject. The second one was definition and introduction of labor laws. Here we define what is exactly the labor laws and other related matters. Fundamental rights and directive principle of the state policy as well as constitutional directives of the labor laws. How does the labor laws exactly evolved? So there are a lot of measures in our constitution. So how these fundamental rights and directive principle of the state policy help us for the development of labor laws. Social justice purpose and objectives of labor laws. So we will see about the several aspects of these labor laws concerning some social justice purpose and objective. Major categories and classification of labor laws. Different categories are there, central government and state government, that they are working together for development of new rules and regulations, and some other laws which are being either protective or different form of labor laws concerning some industry relations. Features and socio-economic environment of labor laws. So these laws are particularly applicable in India with respect to some sort of provisions. So what provisions has been there, that we will see. All these labor laws are applicable within the premises of industry. And what are the socio-economic environment, particularly by means of fixing the wages or hours of work with respect to some wage structure. Several socio-economic environmental variables are responsible for the development of that labor laws, simultaneously labor policy also. Necessity, importance, history and evolution of labor laws. So these are all the summary of unit 1. So here that we are completing unit 1 and we will conclude the session. We will discuss the next part in further session. Thank you very much.